Greetings everyone, I'm Stefan, and today we'll be covering the top tier origins of Stellaris. I will not only be covering the rank of the origins, but I'll also be explaining in depth what each origin does, and specifically why it is where it is on the tier list. I've done the same for the rest of the origins, down in D and F tier, as well as a few exceptions, in my previous video, Origins Part 1. Today is Part 2, and if you have not watched Part 1, it's really encouraged that you do so because then you'll get an idea of what is going on with origins. But anyways, let's begin with the first origin for today, that being Prosperous Unification. Prosperous Unification has perhaps the most boring of all descriptions for its actual effect. It says that it gives you 4 additional pops and 2 additional districts, but in reality it does way more than that. You see, in addition to the extra 2 districts, your planet will start with a very hefty modifier. Prosperous Unification will give plus 15% to happiness, plus 25% to amenities, and plus 10% to resources from jobs. Since happiness effectively gets converted into stability and stability gets converted into pop production, you can effectively expect around 17% extra production from your pops. That is quite impressive, and combined with the extra amenities and the extra pops, this gives you a very solid head start. The reason why this relatively boring origin is so high on the list is because this head start is very significant. You'll have an economy that is far better than any adversary you choose to face, and you'll have access to more building slots. That is very important, and you'll be able to build more stuff, and you'll be able to produce way more. And so effectively, you're starting off the game about a decade or so in, and that is very significant, and it is much better than things like Life Seeded and Resource Consolidation, because the straight up 17% bonus to production is better than the Life Seeded's 10% and the Resource Consolidation's 10%. Of course, you don't get a special planet. Your planet will still be size 16 to size 20, but you also don't get any malices, and the planet is normal. The only thing that's special about it is that it starts far ahead of everyone else. Next, we have Remnants. Now, Remnants says that it'll give you a relic world as your homeworld, but really there's much more to it than that. When playing this origin, don't forget to choose your homeworld type, because the 2 guaranteed habitable worlds will still spawn, and your habitability will be normal. You will of course still have the 100% habitability on your relic world, because of course relic worlds are 100% habitability to any species, but you'll also have the 2 guaranteed planets, and there's actually something special that happens on those planets. When you colonize your guaranteed world, you'll be able to get a modifier on your planet, which will give you minus 25% to building and district cost, and also add a Ruin Arcology tile blocker. These tile blockers are also prevalent on your homeworld, and upon clearing them, you'll actually get an average of 3 modern artifacts per clearing. These 3 modern artifacts can actually be sold to private collectors, and later on in the game, you'll be able to sell them for 500 energy apiece. So effectively, you're spending a little bit of resources to get a lot more resources upon clearing these blockers, and overall, you'll get a significant boost. Not only that, you'll also gain a random technology. So if we clear these blockers, we'll be able to get some random stuff. For example, here we got the improved Corvette hulls, and it will take only 2 months to research them to the end. You'll get the technology, but you will have to still research the last 5% of the progress. What is also amazing about the Relic World start is that you will actually be able to restore it into Ecumenopolis later on. And this restoration will only require anti-gravity engineering and 0 uncleared blockers. So you will not even have to build up city districts to completion on your planet before turning it into a Yuko. This origin gets quite a bit better over time, and once you get past the relatively normal start, you'll be able to dominate everyone with your economy. Next on the list, we have Tree of Life. This origin is exclusive to hive minds, and this will give you quite a few decent bonuses. Your home planet will get a special modifier called Tree of Life, which will increase growth speed by 50%, and also give you quite a bit more agriculture districts, which are actually quite important if you're playing as a hive mind. In addition, you will get 10% to society research, which is relatively nice, as well as plus 10 to housing, which is actually quite decent, and is going to be quite useful when you're playing as a hive mind. On your other planets, you will get a slightly nerfed version of the Tree of Life called the Tree of Life Sapling. This will increase growth speed by 10% and only give you 2 extra agriculture districts. These trees of course all require upkeep, but the amount of upkeep you have to pay is quite negligible. For the main Tree of Life and 3 saplings, we are only paying around 10 food upkeep per month, and honestly, considering the amount of extra agriculture districts you're getting, it is very well worth it. However, this origin does not just give you a bonus to the Tree of Life, it will also give you a penalty if you do not have the Tree of Life. If one of your planets does not have the Tree of Life, which can be achieved in two ways, either the planet gets bombarded to 50% devastation, or you just take over a planet that was not originally yours. In those two situations, you'll get the No Tree of Life modifier on the planet, which will give you minus 50% build speed, minus 25% resources, and extra upkeep, as well as reduced stability. These modifiers are quite significant, and so you'll want to plant a Tree of Life on that planet. It is quite cheap. I believe it only costs about 500 food to plant a sapling, so honestly there's no reason not to just immediately replant the sapling if it is gone in any situation. Next up in the Origins tier list, we have Tier B, with On the Shoulders of Giants. Now, it may be surprising that such a story-driven origin is so high in the list, but the reason for that is not the story. It is the special modifiers and the amount of stuff that you actually get from completing the story. When you start up a game, there's going to be an archaeological site spawning in your home system, and there's actually going to be quite a few archaeological sites as you move on through the game. All of these sites will require a single scientist, so you're trying to invest something, but the 100 alloys and 200 energy that you invest into the archaeological sites are going to be very, very quickly paid off. You see, these archaeological sites will give you plenty of minor artifacts, and in fact, by the time you finish the first half of the story, which should be around year 30, you'll gain approximately 50 minor artifacts. This amount of minor artifacts is incredible. 50 minor artifacts sold at 500 energy each will net you about 25,000 energy credits. Of course, you don't have to sell all the minor artifacts at year 30, you can sell them as you go. And so early on, your start is going to be extremely strong. You're effectively getting an extra 1,000 energy credits per year, and considering how important Snowball is in this game, you're going to be able to dominate and expand very quickly and very aggressively. However, that's not the full extent of this origin. You will eventually also gain 2 systems with 2 extra planets that are of the same type as your home world, and you will also gain a special modifier to your empire, which will give you some research production and a bunch of other bonuses. Do keep in mind that the full event chain may take up to 100 years to fully complete, so you are going to be dealing with this origin for the entirety of the game. I'll not spoil what the story is about, you can go out and try it yourself, but I have to say the story is relatively decent. Next on the list we have Hegemon. Now, Hegemon is a very, very powerful origin because unlike Common Ground, it will start you in control of the 2 Federation members that actually spawn. As the leader of a hegemony, you'll be able to control the Federation fleet, and your allies will actually contribute to that Federation fleet. Unlike the Common Ground start, you will start with access to the Federation fleet, and once you get some fleet capacity up and running, this thing can be a very valuable asset. You see, the Federation fleet is very powerful because you don't have to pay for it. The upkeep for the Federation fleet is free, and if your allied members build the ships, you're effectively paying nothing to have a fleet on your side. As a Federation president, you will also have full control over the Federation ship designer, and so the ships that your allies will build will be the ones that you exactly want. Also, the Hegemon Federation is actually quite a decent Federation type. Eventually, you'll be able to reach level 3 in your Federation and unlock the ability to establish a hegemony. You'll be able to annex other empires into your hegemony and grow and expand that way. It is way better than Common Ground because, of course, with Common Ground you will have to just have good relations and hope that your Federation members also have good relations, because otherwise you won't be able to invite other members in, and as a hegemony you'll be able to forcefully invite members in. Overall, Hegemon is one of the strongest Federation types, and if you're willing to go and sort of exploit, it is also probably the most powerful start available in the game. You see, as the Federation leader, you'll be able to kick someone from the Federation. It is completely up to you. You will not get voted down by your Federation members, and so you'll be able to kick a Federation member, and then you'll be able to attack them with the Federation fleet and with your other member. In fact, you can go so far as to let them contribute to the Federation fleet and then kick them out and attack them immediately. This start allows you to go in and take a whole capital-sized world and put that to use. You see, the 2 empires that forcefully spawn with the 28 pops, which are usual to any empire. And so effectively, if you pull off the trick of kicking a single Federation member and attacking them, you'll be able to double the amount of pops you have, and by year 10, you'll be a very dominant force in the galaxy. In fact, with double the pops, you'll have double the production, and pretty much double of everything. You'll be able to snowball extremely quickly, and yeah, that's basically it. And now we get to the top 3 origins of Stellaris: Void Dwellers, Scion, and Shattered Ring. Of all these 3, Void Dwellers is perhaps the weakest one, but it is still on a whole another level compared to all the other origins. You see, Void Dwellers will start you on habitats, not just 1 habitat, but 3. These 3 habitats will have 10 pops each for a grand total of 30 pops. However, these 30 pops count for way more than 30 pops normally. You see, because your species is a Void Dweller, you'll get a very solid plus 50% to Specialist and Worker output. That is quite incredible, and if there was a Civic or an Origin that did that just by itself, it would be quite amazing. But here you get the extra Specialist and Worker output, while also getting 3 times the pop growth across your planets. Now, technically it's not 3 times because of course you will get minus 10% to pop growth speed, but effectively it is 3 times the growth speed of any normal empire. And that growth speed is going to be incredibly powerful and is going to be done on quite powerful habitats. One of your habitats will have access to research districts, another one will have access to energy districts, and a third one will have access to mining districts. You can heavily optimize all 3 of these habitats while also building plenty of alloy foundries across all of them in their building slots. Speaking of building slots, you'll actually have to use some to be able to generate some food. Since you cannot rely on districts to grow food, you'll have to rely on hydroponics farms to do the job. Each of these hydroponics farms will give 3 farmer jobs, which is actually quite a bit better than what they normally give, which is 2. While normally a waste of building slots is quite significant, with the habitat start you'll be able to build research districts on your planets. And these research districts are exactly why Void Dwellers is so high on the list. You see, early on you can just spam a couple of these research districts and have very high tech production in the early game. You see, the name of the game is Technology, and if you're playing optimally, you'll be going for Tech Rush. A Void Dweller Tech Rush is among the most powerful, and in fact it can even compete with the Shattered Ring Tech Rush. You'll be able to build plenty of research districts, and if you run out of space on your habitats, you'll be able to build more above planets with some sort of, research output. The districts that your habitat will get will depend on whatever resource it's built over, and so building over minerals will of course bring you more mineral districts, and building over energy will give you more energy districts. Your habitats should be focused on those special districts, because otherwise you'll be wasting district slots, and that is not acceptable with Voidborn. With Voidborn, you will want to build a maximum of 1 habitation district and 1 leisure district. You see, low housing is not really a big issue, and you should never be tempted to build more housing districts. The reason why is because low housing will actually give you a maximum of minus 20 stability in your planet, which will translate into roughly minus 12% output. That minus 12% output is well worth it for being able to build more research districts or more mineral or more energy districts. However, eventually your pop growth will start to go bad because of the low housing, so you'll probably want to start resettling pops off your habitats onto your normal planets. And by normal planets, I mean genuinely normal planets. You'll want to establish a migration treaty with another empire as early as possible and use their pops to be able to colonize your nearby worlds. Overall, Void Dwellers is an extremely strong origin, but only if you know how to use it. If you do not know how to use Voidborn, you'll not be able to succeed with Voidborn. It does require some skill to be able to manage your planets very well, but once you get the hang of it and do things properly, it is very solidly A tier. Next on the list, we have Scion. Now, Scion will start you as a vassal of a fallen empire, but without any of the penalties of being a vassal. You see, you will simply start under the protection of a fallen empire, and they'll be your sugar daddy throughout the entire game. The fallen empire under whose protection you start are extremely patronizing and will be protective. So if you get attacked and for whatever reason you cannot win the war, they'll actually send reinforcements and absolutely crush anyone that attacks you. They'll not directly support you in an offensive war, but they do have a very good chance of just randomly gifting you a massive fleet. By no means is it guaranteed that you will actually get the extra fleet, but if you do, that is about 10k fleet power potentially at year 10. With 10k fleet power that early on, you'll be able to do basically anything you want. You'll be able to wipe out any sort of neighboring empire, even if they are an advanced start, and even if they are on Grand Admiral. There are quite a few other events that can happen at the sign. For example, you can get a level 10 Admiral, but overall, it is a very, very random origin, and success will vary. Overall, if you like RNG, Scion is definitely good for you, but if you don't like RNG and feel like you might get screwed over by the game, well, don't pick Scion. Pick something like Shattered Ring. Shattered Ring is by far by far the most powerful origin of all of Stellaris. As the name implies, the origin will start you off on a shattered ring world. You'll start off on one of the sections, and there'll be 2 other sections that you can potentially restore later on. You'll not be getting any special events to allow you to restore these sections, so you'll have to just go through the steps of getting Mega Engineering and restoring it from there. But of course, since you do spawn with a Mega Structure in your home system, it's going to be incredibly easy to get Mega Engineering as long as you have the tech prerequisites. With Ring World, you'll be able to get to the point of restoration relatively quickly. You see, Ring Worlds have access to this nifty feature called a research segment, and a single research segment will give you a grand total of 20 researcher jobs. 20 researcher jobs. And you know what the best part about this? You don't actually have to upkeep this district. All you have to do is go to your planetary features and clear the blocker that will give you some gas. Once you clear that blocker, you'll be able to get 400 minerals and 100 gas. That 100 gas will fund the ring segment, and yeah, once you build that ring segment, it will actually be upkept by the ring itself. So if we build the segment, of course, it will take quite a bit of minerals to build it, but effectively you are spending around 2,000 minerals on 10 research labs. So effectively that's actually 50% cheaper to build a research segment over a lab. But looking at the planetary features now, we can see that the Arcane Generator, this very special feature on a ring world, will produce 10 extra energy and 2 extra gas. This means that the new section that we have built is completely upkept. Now, granted, this will only apply to the first of each section, and so if we decided to build another research segment, it would not be upkept by the Arcane Generator. Only the first one will. However, it is extremely easy to upkeep even without the Arcane Generator. You see, once you have built this research segment, you'll gain access to gas on the market, because after all, you're producing gas. So now we can see that we have exotic gases to be bought, and we can very easily buy 100 of them and build another research segment. It is incredible. The one thing I would recommend is not to build too many research segments because of course scientists need upkeep, but instead go for a few commercial districts. This way you'll be able to get 5 merchant jobs per segment, and merchant jobs are among the best jobs in the game. This means that merchant guilds are actually a really good civic to choose for ring worlds because you'll be able to boost your merchant production, and with more merchants will come up more unity and more trade. That is excellent, and you definitely want that on your ring world. Now, if you think that all of that wasn't crazy enough, there's one more benefit to ring world that is absolutely incredible and absolutely broken. That is the fact that your pops have normal habitability. They don't have ring world habitability, which prevents them from colonizing other planets. No, they will be able to colonize other planets as usual. And so the one deficit that you could potentially have, that being minerals on your own ring world, because of course you cannot produce any minerals here, will be completely alleviated by the fact that you can just colonize other planets and get minerals from there to convert into other resources on your ring. The ring world is truly incredible and is by far the most powerful origin in all of Stellaris. This origins tier list is accurate as of 2.6.3. Unless the origins drastically change, I'll not be releasing a new video. Instead, I'll be posting a graphic of the updated tier list on my Discord, so join that if you haven't already. Anyways, thank you everyone for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.